What's going on, everybody? Matt Malatesta, Coach Michael Kane of Dripping Springs and Texas VBI. Another big week. We're inching closer to the postseason. Closer and closer, Coach. How do you, keep this team, or I don't know about keep coaches, keep these teams hungry, eye on the prize? You got homecomings, your mid-season. How do you keep them going?
I mean, again, there's a lot of, you've got the Byron Nelsons of the world who, they've got a huge target on their back, and they've got the big zero in the loss column they've had for the last 2 years. And, there's something to be said about that. But I mean, I think they've done a great job of making sure those kids stay focused and not taking anything for granted. I mean, that's the biggest thing for teams that have been successful, is to maintain that success and sustain the hunger or the appetite to be successful. So teams of that nature are going to be having to make sure they focus on that type of stuff. And then you've got the mid-majors, if you will, or those teams that are always in the conversation. And then I think we've got some dark, in which we've got some teams, I feel like, dark horses, or maybe names that people maybe didn't have as much respect for, but probably should keep their eyes out for. And we'll talk about those in a minute. But I think they're also in a position of not looking too far ahead. And as far as the playoffs is concerned, with the old age statement of hey, this is a new season. And now even more so when you get to Division I, Division II, even that, I mean, you looked at a Westlake last year, our district, they finished third in the district, and they go to Division I and wound up making a run to the state tournament. So it's weird stuff happens, especially with this D1, D2 things, and there'll be some shakeup depending on who goes where and in the matchup. So we'll see.
Baseball and softball are funny because in that spring season, you got prom, spring break, graduation. There's so much noise and distraction.
Yeah.
Y'all are like, homecoming week for you is probably, what are we doing? What do we do?
Yeah.
Nobody's locked in. How fun is it? Well, girls are girls, they're gonna, how do they stay kind of locked in? How do you, as a coach, keep them somewhat focused and somewhat keep it fun?
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you have to understand that they are kids, as much as we want every kid and every team to be just high-powered and uber-focused. I mean, the reality is to sustain that kind of mindset throughout the course of a season is next to impossible. And I say that, not dismissing others, but you're going to have these parts in the matches in the season in your district potentially that the kids on the other side of the net just aren't going to match up athletically or from a skill standpoint. And so you just hope to get out of those. You just have to I've always tried to make sure I let my kids mentally rest a little bit during that time period. And not to say you're looking past those teams, but I mean, the reality is those teams don't match up physically and from a skill standpoint. So you go out there and you get some kids an opportunity to get to play, to develop a little bit more bench work, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the kind of time period. Your prom weekends, I mean, you just hope it depends on your game during that week. Again, if you're blessed and you've got a mid-level mat, then you can again try to relax. And then if you've got a big game, which again sometimes happens, you've got to make sure those kids start to understanding priorities and what the real ambition and what the goals are for the team, and remind them constantly with a little bit of leniency when it comes to the day of and the cattle fall of the homecoming moms throughout the hallways and stuff like that. So you can kind of deal with that a little bit. But yeah, if you're playing a team that this is an important match, it's a make or break or keep us at the top of the heap, you remind those kids what your team goals were at the beginning of the year, why we're really doing what we're doing. I tell my kids all the time, and until I see a gym on Tuesday night, packed house with football players, I'm not sure I care what's going on a Friday night over at the football stadium until work is done.
Well, I don't know if you know what priorities are sometimes, but a lot of times, hair, makeup, dress.
That's right.
You are in the heart.
That's right.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know, 100 girls in your program, and you're probably like, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
Oh God, yes.
We got a pan in there every once in a while.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, we were talking about great teams the last time we talked. I love, and it's hard to do because there's so many great players that have come through the state of Texas. But I was just having this in my mind, who better to ask? Who would kind of be the Mount Rushmore of Texas high school volleyball history? And I'm not talking about the past 30 years. I'm talking about in the VYPE, Texas VBI, real generation of the past 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. I was trying, it's funny, we had this conversation about that, and I was starting to think about how far I would be able to go back. And what I did was I went back to either players that I've coached against, or, which is about, I'm trying to not show my age here, but about 24, 25 years, or that played in that era, in the collegiate level or Olympic level. And so I had a part group of that, and I've got a little pod of 3 kids that I feel like could carve their way into a new age realm elsewhere that I will be interested to see what they're doing. One's already just doing so well right now at Texas and that new age group. But when I started thinking about the players that have come out of Texas, your Destiny Hooker out of San Antonio Southwest. I mean, that kid was just an elite athlete, played at Texas. Most of these kids played at Texas, by the way, which is irony or whatever. But even around that time period as well, Demetrius Sants, who was just a mega star out of San Antonio J High School. That kid was just a one person wrecking machine that kind of led that team. And then you kind of get a little bit more into maybe your VYPE area, your Asia O'Neal that played. You had an opportunity to coach against her at South Lake Carroll, and of course, she had an outstanding career at Texas, and it went on. Your Molly Phillips is probably around that same kind of area. Chiako Autobu from Papel, I think, is in that mix. And then again, like the 3 kids that I put, one selfishly, but I think she certainly has earned the reputation. But Bakari Spears right now at Texas, who came from Prestonwood, that young lady is just a phenom. I mean, she's doing what she's doing at this level. I mean, she was doing that all throughout her high school career. And then the 2 that I just love watching play, one, I get the opportunity of seeing the gym all the time. Hilly Anderson was, and Hallie Thompson, Emily obviously with Dripping Springs and Howell with Grand Oaks. I think those kids are going to really, playing on the U.S. U19 and U21 team, those kids are going to go on to Wisconsin and Texas respectively and do some amazing things and maybe carve their own right to be in there. But that's kind of I don't know, maybe the Destiny Hookers and Demetrius Sarius are a little too far back, but I don't know which is on yours.
Yeah, you have a larger swath of knowledge and area, but just here in Houston, Allie Batenhorst, that was a center who played and then USC, and now in the pros, and now I don't know what she's doing, like beach now. She's doing beach. And then a girl that was around here that was so good, a girl named Yossi Presley. And she was good at Baylor. She went to Baylor.
Yeah.
She was, a really big time star here. And then Jayla Augusta, who, is coming out of Grand Oaks, really well at Florida. And then I tell you what, the kids that are out there now, Molly Tuzzo's at Kentucky. She played at the Woodlands. Cassie O'Brien, I think she's going to be a freak when she gets older. Also Kentucky from Cinco. Molly McCage dates it back. She played at University of Texas. She plays professionally. But they're just the name after name after name. There's just so many. That's kind of just in our little of the city.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's and again, we had mentioned this before. I just don't know if you can match up the number of kids or, pro players and or collegiate elite level All-Americans or whatnot that come out of Texas because of the depth and the talent in that group, for sure.
You talk about kids now who are, everybody loves in this recruiting world and in the, really the recruiting world. They love to know who the next big things are. Who are the kids in high school now that are going to be really forces at the college level? And they might be in 10th or 11th grade. Who do you see, or do you have a couple kids that you would say, you can see these are going to be stars?
Yeah, well, like I said, currently as your seniors, your Henley Andersons and Hallie Thompson, those kids are going to be just elite level type of kids. Highland Park's got a sophomore, Sarah Floyd, I believe is her name, who's really, really sought after across the country. Allen High School's got Audubon as well as a sophomore who's just, I mean, that kid, you watch that kid play and it's on another level for sure. So those are the 2 or 3 that stick out in my head in regards to like new age kids that, and again, with Henley and Hallie being the top 2. I know you've got the other couple of other players who played with the Henley and Hallie on that U21 team. I just felt like Hallie and Henley tend to stick out a little bit more in my head space, but I think it's probably just me being biased potentially.
Yeah, Nadia Shelby at Friendswood, she's going to Florida also. She's a really time name around here. Ridge Point has some really good players. Jane Knoxon.
Yeah.
There's a girl, I mean, this girl has got a great name. I'm looking her up right now because her name just cracks me up. But her name is Wiggles. Her name is Wiggles Ngo, Ngoh. She plays at Tompkins, and she hasn't played very long, and she can jump out of the gym, and she just committed, and I think she's just beginning her junior year from Seven Lakes. She plays with Amy Cataline, the coach over there, who's had a ton of great players. Sure. He just committed to USC. She's just a ball of fast twitch muscle that can just jump out the gym. But I'm like, that's the perfect name for a volleyball player's will go. I'm kind of see what she does in the next couple of years. Those are players. Talk about.
Well, there's one more that I thought about when you said just young player. And you know, it's the irony of this young lady. She is at elite level, already gotten tons of attention in the basketball world, but she's a freshman outside for Westlake. Byers Beal is her name, Geraldine Byers. Her mother was the coach at Anderson for a while, and now her daughter's at Westlake. And this kid is just a 6'1", 6'2" freshman that plays both elite level volleyball and basketball. Talking to Miguel, the players that made basketball's her jam. So the players that this young lady just keeps having a good time playing volleyball, and when he gets to reap the rewards of 4 years of her. But she's another one of these kids that you just watch this kid play. It's just effortless. It's kind of special. So we'll see what happens with her. Maybe the volleyball world sways her if she switches to volleyball as her main love. Because right now, her brother plays collegiately down. He played at Florida State, and now he's got drafted in the pros. So she's a phenom. So we should look out for that name as well.
In the next couple of weeks, we got to talk about men's volleyball, because it's the state of Texas.
It is.
Other teams, around the state that you kind of say, hey, these teams got some momentum. They can kind of maybe catch fire. People know of these teams, but they're not the big brand names. Are there anybody like that can kind of catch fire come the playoff time?
Yeah, I think up in the Dallas area, the two that kind of stuck out in my head, and you probably have a more handle on the Houston area per se. But Plano East is kind of a team that on any given night, being led by Simone Gerd, who's averaging about 5.7 kills a set. That team has got some really quality wins under the belt, and on any given night, I think that team can make a run. Howling Heart is not kind of an unknown name, they're kind of a known name, but they've had a lot of injuries recently, and Allie's been out with some injuries, but they've got Allie Hudges and that sophomore transfer, Sarah Ford that I mentioned. And they've had a bunch of injuries. So I feel like when those kids get the ball rolling, even though they're kind of up in the top 5 or 6, and I think in all the polls, I wouldn't necessarily call them a dark horse, but I think they're a team that hasn't peaked yet. Friendswood, as you mentioned before, Nadia Shelby, she's averaging 4.6 kills a set. Well, that's a team that if they're going to go as far as she takes them. But I think they're not in the top 5 or so. But I think they're a team that be formidable. New Braunfels had a taste of success last year, the Unicorns, and I think they're top 10-ish. And I think that's another team that has competed well with all the big 6A programs around the area. Again, selfishly, I'll make a plug for us at Drip. We had movers, we had McGinley out, like a lot of other people had their start bids out. Then we had our stud setter out. We've had about 6 games with an entire roster recently. And so we're starting, took a set off of a favorite now in that region in 6A, Austin High. Took a set off of Lake Travis as well. And again, I think we're going to start building some real. So I think keep an eye on it for us. As far as the dark courses that I think people should really pay attention to, one being El Paso Eastlake. A lot of people dismiss a lot of the El Paso team in that area, but Eastlake sitting at 28-3. They've got wins over Lovejoy, Fulshire, Canyon, the Woodlands, Round Rock. I mean, they're being led by a freshman, Giselle, I think it's Gonda and Kills. But those are some quality wins from an El Paso team that has been able to mix it up, and kudos to them that went out and kind of lock horns with all those. So we'll see what they do. And then way down south, you've got the Laredo Alexander team that's 22-4. They've got quality wins in the region of 6A over like a Reagan, who some people might feel is more of a favorite to win that region. And Laredo Alexander beat them just recently last week or two. So those are 2 teams I think that a lot of people thought not intentionally, but the reality is for the most part, you haven't seen a lot of stuff up with the El Paso or Laredo areas, but those 2 teams are doing some really, really good things. So we'll see what happens.
We got a team over here that, we got a little grief because we're just like, not sure, but they've dominated this area. They did get a big move in from Pearland High School, and that's Dawson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at it. They're nice right now.
They are. Well, the golf course, so, I mean, they are definitely in the mix. Matter of fact, just uber athletic. I mean, throughout that program, even at the sub-varsity levels, I'm hearing that they just got athlete upon athlete. But, yeah, I mean, I just feel like they're kind of a known commodity right now. I think they're in the top 5 in every poll, if I'm not mistaken. So this year they're not necessarily dark horse, but as far as like long-term success, I think they're definitely an up and rising program. And like I said, I think they're going to be around for a while based on everything I'm hearing about their sub-varsity teams. But that's a really, really good quality team. So we shall see.
Yeah, it's cool. And Lauren left. She is leaving. After the season, she is taking a principal job at an elementary school or middle school in the district.
Oh, wow.
So she's going to finish out this year, but that will be that'll be the end of the road for her as it relates to
well, maybe that's just
hanging out.
Song. Yeah, didn't go out with a state championship. No, they are uber talented, and I agree with you. I think a lot of people kind of dismissed them, but that transfer they got from Baylor just added to the mix, and I think she's really jobbed nicely with that one. I think that's a team certainly to keep your head out for.
Grand Oaks still hanging in there. They're going to be tough. They're a tough.
They're not a dark horse.
I know they're
when you're the band defending champs, you're not a dark horse.
That's a good point. There's another one. They lost a lot, but they're still really well coached. They got a lot of really good talent.
They're spotty. I mean, I just think like, when in moments they look amazing, and then in moments they look like youth and inexperience. And I know when we played each other, we felt like we mirrored each other with us and 3 to them. And it was like the Volleyball tournament. And Cindy and I were just saying, God, we look like the exact same team. Like in one ender, just amazing uber talent, and then the next week you're like, what is happening? So yeah, that's a team that if they catch fire, certainly has all the athletes. Again, the front runners are obviously Byron Nelson's, your Allens. The Dallas area is a bloodbath for sure, in my opinion. I mean, you got just a ton of great teams coming out of that area. And then, I mean, Austin High is a team in the Austin area that, hasn't been able to make a deep run in a while, but I mean, they've already gone through the gauntlet and taken out Dripping, Westlake, and Lake Travis, and are undefeated and having just a great season. So, they've got the athletes for sure. And I feel like they finally got this missing link of a setter that they were missing because, they've got this stud outside and the stud middles. And they were missing a setter that could get them going. They got that senior transfer from Regis that's going to Arkansas. And she's done a fantastic job for them. That's kind of almost like this little thing. They're almost kind of like a Dawson, in my opinion, because Dawson's always been good. They're never really that good. but then you don't really see them making deep runs very often. And now I think this is a year where they're gonna really make a name for themselves. And I think Austin Highs, this could be a year where they do some really good things.
I have to tell you something very embarrassing, but I have what I said early in the season, that if Ridgepoint did not make it to the state final four, that I would shave my head.
Oh,
Dawson is putting a big possible dent in this situation. Yet I know tracked a little bit on this, so I'm not sure about that. It's so to me, I got to rock with Ridgepoint.
I mean,
I don't have much hair left. I got to keep it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Ridgepoint is not a team you want to give up on for sure, but I don't know if I'm betting my hair on anybody. I made that very grave mistake, I think, in 2012 or 2013, one of the first years I took drip to the state tournament. I said I would, the girls asked if they could dye the tips of my hair blonde if I did that. And I said, of course, absolutely. We wound up doing it. So they were lined up in the gym the minute I got to practice the next day after the regional finals, and sat the whole way and did the dye job, and it looked orange because, I've got this black hair. So it was a debacle, and I was embarrassed for an entire weekend. So
what we do for fun and what we do for some wins.
100%. I think I would shave my head right now to win the state championship.
There you go. All right. Hey, we'll catch you next week.
Yes, sir.
Kane of Dripping Springs and Texas VBI, Matt Malatesta of VYPE. Great volleyball content statewide. He really knows everything, and I just kind of like, oh. All right, Coach, we'll talk next week. Have a good week. Get 2 dubs this week.
Got a tough one. We'll see you later. Good luck.
All right.
Good week. See you later.